the journey thus far made for the Tarehe Sita celebrations and what he believes the army needs to improve. Looking at stories making headlines tonight, President Yoweri Museveni and the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces has warned the army to desist from degenerating into armies of the past regimes in Mbara. That story starts us off tonight.
Mbara district was honored to host the 42nd Tarehe Sita anniversary, the first time since 1981. Thousands turned up at Kacheka Stadium to celebrate. Museveni, who was the main celebrant, started his speech by recollecting memories of the first attack on Kabamba, the attack that launched the protracted war that took 5 years.
Although the attack itself, by God's superior intervention, did not succeed, when a Tanzanian corporal, following Tumwine's pistol fire at the quarter guard, rushed into the underground armory and used an LMG to defend it against us. We collected about 40 rifles from the houses around, captured 8 lorries.
The Updf that formerly boasted of being a people's army has come under spotlight in the recent days over the increasing number of cases of abuse of human rights. The president warned the army and urged them to stay professional.
People being desperately fed up with the brutality and non-accountability of the old armies, you must never adopt the habits of these old armies: brutality, corruption. If you do that, the people will hate you.
Museveni also emphasized the need for free education to help children of the poor attain education.
I have heard that some head teachers have introduced charges on the children that they want money to pay arts teachers. Now, when I get information on this one, you will see what I will do.
The president was awarded the Order of Katonga Star, the highest military decoration of the Ugandan honors system. Among those decorated were FRONASA veteran fighters and other contributors to the protracted war. Kanarim Gume, NBS, live at 9.
Affairs is seeking 2.01 trillion shillings to implement full salary enhancement of UPDF cadres. However, members of the Defence Committee of Parliament are concerned about the salary unfairness in salary enhancements of UPDF cadres, with lower ranking officers earning less from
117.6 billion shillings and 517 billion shillings is required in the next financial year 2023-2024. But for the force to implement its salary enhancement structure that was approved by the Ministry of Public Service in 2017, 2.1 trillion shillings is required.
The 2 trillion is the anticipated. However, it is going to be implemented in phases. And for us, as a committee, we are interested in the lower ranks that have been getting low money support, particularly with some slight increment.
In the enhancement structure, the CDF salary is to rise from 2 million shillings to 20 million shillings, generals from 2 million, Major General from 1.69 to 15.8 of the LDU personnel, which is to rise from 183,400 shillings to 850,000 shillings. Privates.
For the CDF to be at the rank of a permanent secretary, then probably the deputy.
So you can see really the fight it's when you win something, you say, okay, the little meat you get, let me get it.
However, members of the Parliamentary Committee on Defence and Internal Affairs are concerned with the disparities in salary enhancements, with some high-ranking cadres receiving up to over 100% increment, with lower-ranking officers
adequately provided for in the proposals for 2023-2024.
We advocate that the salaries should be
questioned why UPDF keeps undeployed officers in its books and they continue to earn taxpayers' money for doing nothing.
What is somebody who's busy working day and night? Take, for example, a commander. Busy working day and night, and there is somebody who has somehow disciplinary-related issue, seated at home on the category and is earning more money than somebody who's busy working as a commander and force.
Those things I think used to happen, but now it goes through committees, it goes through the court.
The Ministry of Defence is also planning for a pay rise for all officers who retired before approval of salary enhancements.
I get a lot of pressure from all of those who retired when the general was the commander-in-chief that let's get this one, then to that figure.
Updf now seeks for 21.4 billion shillings to sustain Operation Shuja in 2023-2024 financial year, with 6.9 billion shillings for food, 5.4 billion shillings for fuel, 2.1 billion shillings for lubricants, 625.4 million shillings for maintenance, 4.2 billion shillings for medical, and 2.03 billion shillings for travel inlands. Shamim Nabakoza, NBS, live at 9.
Many thanks, Shamim, for that report. As the country joins the UPDF to celebrate the 42nd Tarehe Sita, we are joined by a member of... A very good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for sparing time and joining us on this episode of NBS Live at 9. 42 years of the UPDF. What do you make of them thus far?
Certainly there have been achievements, has steadily improved. There has been the insurgency that had raged on for long, but as we speak now, at least within the borders of the country, we can say there is peace, there is security, but considering the fact that we have now the 42 years, we must take stock of what prevailed then and what is happening now. For instance, we congratulate all those UPDF garrant officers and soldiers on this day. But we must not forget to remind them that the ideals which took them to the bush must be jealously protected and safeguarded. What used to happen then was the notorious pandagari existing then. But as we celebrate the 42 years, you may witness drones also picking Ugandans, detained and tortured, and those are happening now. The events that general security then is also creeping up. What we are seeing, the attacks, the sporadic attacks on barracks, police stations across the country, cannot be just ignored. And right now, as a country, we see in Parliament, but now we are in Congo and budget and the public tax within the country. And as Ugandans wonder, must we be in Congo to safeguard our security here? But we are still continuing to witness killings of innocent peoples of the East African region. And yet we ought to be enjoying peace and security. So that cannot be guaranteed. And looking at those who went to the bush to fight, how many of those are still believing that we are on the right track? I think at 42 years, we need to stock take, to look at what precipitated, what led to the liberation, what led to the going to the bush, and seeing where we are now. Those vices that made others...
Honorable, if I may. Honorable, if I may, you've pointed out a few things that the head of state has well pointed out today, asking the army to desist from characters of brutality, characters of corruption. And you point out that these were characters that dominated past regime armies. What would your message to the head of state be, or do you agree with him in regards to what he had to say about the army?
You see, the head of state is the commander of the armed forces. He is in charge of this country. We cannot take his warnings by the cover. Abduction of Ugandans, the abduction of innocent Ugandans, their torture. It has been a song. It has been a song now for years. The president, he has not been seen to intervene directly. And he must declare on which side does he stand. On the side of those tortured and arrested, or on the side of those who are promoting the vice. So it's not a question of him making good statement. You must act, he must walk the talk. We shall take him serious if he walks the talk. And the bad...
All right, as a member of the Defense Committee of Parliament, and also with what you know, what is it that you'd like to see the army do a lot more?
The army must be people's army. The army must desist from being partisan. And we are not seeing the police doing the tortures alone, but it is a collection of all these armed forces. And that's why when you started the newscast, you are showing from their pay. So it's therefore a question of tuning the two. And the question does not even stop with the UPDF alone. Can we see a proposal for the increment of the salaries, the salary enhancement to even the prisons and the police? Because those constitute the armed forces of the country. We cannot afford to be picky. You pick out one, you leave out the other. Let's take them together as the armed forces of the Republic of Uganda. And lastly, the UPDF, it is duty upon the UPDF. The Constitution is clear. Their main role and mandate is to safeguard the territorial integrity of Uganda, to protect people's property and lives. They cannot turn around and be the same organs and the same agency taking away the rights, the liberties, and even the lives of Ugandans.
The Army's contribution over the last 42 years. Kanari Mugume will be joining us as well to give us a broader discussion on what exactly happened today at Kacheka Stadium in Mbara. Kanari, it's good to see you. What does your guest have to say with regards to the journey the UPDF has made over the last 42 years?
One of those forces, of course, was FRONASA, of course, fighting against the UNLA forces. I'm seated with a veteran fighter from FRONASA who joined in 1978. This is Apollo Mabati. Thanks for allowing to speak to us this evening. From the days of FRONASA, what was it like to fight, forces fight for the freedom that you were looking for? If you could just recap for us some memories.
Actually, by that time it was a blunder. One, we had not known something like, because Idi Amin used it to call it is a hero of people, the Shaban Kashanku, of NRA. We used to stay together in Mbarara Military Police Station, which was a dangerous as there. It was big in mind and actions than in the Mbarara Simba barracks. Yeah.
Let's talk about now the use of abductions, illegal arrests, torture. What do you have to say about the UPDF today and some of the indiscipline cases that are portrayed?
Indiscipline cases, they are brought in by drugs. Drugs. Some are taking drugs. Because if you don't take waraji, you can't have the courage of killing a person. Talking to a soldier saying that if we are caught by state research people, I wish they could kill me with a hammer. Can you imagine that talk? President FRONASA. My mind went back when they put Ret Katabarwa at Boma in Marara. I was there very young. They brought players. The guys who cocked the guns threw the commander. They fired the bullets, shattered his stomach. He laid. Then they said, one of the soldiers said, "Ye bado kufa." They did. Now, it was the same talk as the other guys were saying, the gun kills badly. But now I said, I can't remain here. And the name, he used to talk on, he had a talk show on the radio, they are going to, the gorillas, the Orobanyankori would be cleaned up by slaughtered. Then I said I cannot be slaughtered when I'm still young and let me join.
Let's talk about the UPDF today. Some of differentiating between politics and UPDF is a military wing of the NRM, and therefore it serves partisan politics in one way or another. But there are also officers involved in mobilizing and whatnot, and then they say UPDF has really shifted from what it was the days you were fighting for FRONASA. What do you have to say about that?
Even where we are trained, even trainers of the people, but things change. It's like now, if the army, okay, And actually those guys, I'm a human being, by the way, and I have to tell the truth. We have to campaign. And one thing which I hate, you cannot rebuke President Museveni when I'm around. I have to punish you. Because really, from bottom of my heart, the wife comes from Tungamo, where I was born. Kiza Besigye, Honorable Winnie, she's my sister. I respect Kiza Besigye. What do you expect from me?
What I'm saying, shouldn't the army be serving national interests as opposed to individual or political interests of a certain political party?
They are human beings. They are human. We are human beings. We can't do otherwise. We are human beings. But other orders, what we use, and other officers, what they use, you cannot tell person, like what I have told you. I have told you that you cannot abuse President Museveni when I'm there.
The army that you fought for, you envisioned, is it the army you envisioned? Are you in one or another happy about what it has become? Are you disappointed in some cases?
I'm not regretting. I'm not regretting. We are at freedom. We are enjoying ourselves. We have peace. We go and celebrate as today. We leave our homes intact. But again, not all are from one mother or the same father. We have different manners and havocs. We do havocs. But then, one time when we had passed out and joining and ready to go on front line in 1978, once at their home in Kakoba. Now when he came back to revenge and killed that person in that family. President Museveni Nyamtanga, he was sentenced to death. He was killed. That we shouldn't take the law in our hands.
Okay. Briefly, in just time you were fighting and the entire years of the UPDF and what it is today.
Again, come again.
If you had chance, is there anything you look back and regret or say, if I had time and chance to go back, I would change this?
Really, yes.
What is that?
If the government can concentrate on veterans, and we are paid our Kasimo, those who actually Kasimo, it is in different corners. Those who don't have the number of army number, those who served but left the army, they are given a token. I would concentrate, as the president says, I should concentrate on veteran celebrations like this. If we could how the government passes a law and we have uniforms and we have our ranks, we put on our ranks, then we are recognized. Much the better. And secondly, ending, we have children. If these children, our children, could be taken as a first priority and given
Apollo Mabati, many thanks for allowing to speak to us this evening and sharing your insights.
Of civilian veterans.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Apollo Mabati joined Fronasa in 1978 and he's a veteran fighter. And well, that was the conversation. Remember that the UPDF celebrated for 2 years from the first day, Tarehe Sita, that they did attack or did make the first assault on Kabamba. The day was being celebrated today. It was important to catch up with
42 years of the Army service. Looking at more stories making headlines, the Inspector General of Government, Betty Olive Kamia, has spoken out on summoning the former NSSF boss, Richard Byarugaba, saying he should not rush them for interrogation. This after Byarugaba told the Select Committee that he had not yet been summoned by the IGG.
And our methods of work is we don't go for the prey right away. We go when we have adequate information. And when we have adequate information about that person. When there is a case, when we have put our case together, a solid case together, because sometimes there's not even a case.
Inspector General of Government Betty Olive Namisango Kamyala has indicated that they are not in a rush to interface with the former managing director of the NSSF, saying they're still gathering evidence. This as she stressed that investigations are ongoing and at the right time he'll be called on to explain himself.
So we want to inform the public that professional investigation is a process that requires meticulous preparations.
But because it deters them from digging deep into critical matters. She disclosed that their policy is to first surround the suspect and then get to them.
By the time we summon somebody, they won't even know that we have been investigating them for months. That public to explain our methods of work.
While there has been controversy on why Parliament and the IGG would be carrying out parallel investigations, Kamya explained that this is fulfillment of her mandate and does not in any way affect the operations of the Select Committee. This as she indicated that most of the evidence has been collected.
A case in point indeed is the case of one Jamwa, where the IG and Parliament held parallel investigations, and at the end of the investigations, Parliament actually cleared Mr. Jamwa, but the IG continued with the investigations and found a case, prosecuted him successfully through all the appeals up to the Supreme Court, and he was eventually convicted.
With the IGG taking 2 months to investigate the mess at NSSF and Parliament taking 1 whole month to investigate the same, both the entities are investing public resources. Now, questionable is how much would these investigations yield for Ugandans? Shamim Nabakoza.
Elections ahead of Thursday and Friday nomination days. The National Resistance Movement has announced they will not support the late
elections. The Electoral Commission spokesperson Paul Bukenya has revealed that 7 people have picked forms to contest for the vacant seat.
So nominations are on the 9th and the 10th of February. Of course, if you followed what's going on in Tarehe, political parties are preparing to participate or to present candidates, with 5 political parties collecting nomination forms and 2 aspiring independent candidates collecting nomination forms. So on our part as Electoral Commission, we are moving on well.
Among these are candidates from 5 political parties. The NRM says they have taken the path of backing their original flag bearer and not the late Okabe's son, Emmanuel Omoding.
I know Honorable Kabe was an NRM leaning independent because previously he had been our flag bearer, but the previous election he did not succeed. Even the last parliament he was there as an independent. So for us as a party, last time we supported the flag bearer, and even this...
And NUP as the main political parties, NRM is confident that with the divided opposition, victory belongs to them.
The opposition...
By elections, the electoral processes that preceded them were marred by violence and irregularities which the Electoral Commission and the ruling party condemn.
Because one of the things that we do when we issue a by-election program is, of course, to engage stakeholders and to plan together for a peaceful electoral process, to identify issues that may come up and probably lead to such conduct.
People have accused us of using money. Well, they use money to pay our polling agents, to those who may transport the sick people to go and voting.
The nomination of candidates will start on Thursday 9th and end on the 10th of February, and thereafter there will be a campaign period of 10 days before the voting day on the 23rd of February 2023. Linda Nduumwami, Julius Chitone, NBS.
The army against brutality. NSSF's Biarugava not off the hook as yet, and 7 was captured by our next media photographers in the shot.
More to come, brought to you by
Make your building a paradise. We have weather coat emulsion, undercoat emulsion, silk vinyl emulsion, flat emulsion, super gloss and high gloss. Global Paint, a reliable product.
Still to come.